The 7 levels of immortality in Marvel. Level 1. The enhanced longevity. Wolverine. James Howlett was born in the mid-1800s in Cold Lake, Alberta, to a wealthy Canadian family. His mutant powers manifested traumatically during adolescence when his biological father murdered his surrogate father. Bone claws erupted from his knuckles, and his healing factor activated for the first time as he killed in a berserker rage. This healing factor became the foundation of his extended lifespan, regenerating damaged tissue so efficiently that his cells don't accumulate normal aging damage. His body perpetually restores itself to peak condition, making him appear in his physical prime despite being over 130 years old. Wolverine's healing factor allows him to survive injuries that would kill normal humans within minutes. Gunshot wounds close, broken bones set themselves, and even severe trauma becomes survivable because his body constantly repairs itself. But the secondary effect, slowed aging, grants him enhanced longevity rather than true immortality. He's fought in World War I, World War II alongside Captain America, participated in Cold War operations, and continued as an X-Man into modern times. Each conflict should have killed him multiple times, but his healing factor revived him even from clinical death. The Weapon X program's bonding of adamantium to his skeleton created both enhancement and limitation. The indestructible metal made him virtually unkillable through physical means, but it also constantly poisons him. His healing factor must perpetually fight the adamantium toxicity, working overtime just to keep him alive. Without the healing factor, the adamantium would kill him within days. When Magneto ripped the adamantium from his skeleton during Fatal Attractions, the trauma nearly killed him, and without the metal poisoning, his powers became unstable, eventually regressing him toward a more feral state. His healing factor has failed temporarily in various storylines. A microverse virus once suppressed his mutant ability, leaving him vulnerable and aging rapidly. During this period, he became an old man whose body finally showed 130-plus years of accumulated damage, grayed hair, wrinkled skin, injuries that didn't heal. When his powers returned, his body restored itself to prime condition. But the incident proved his immortality is conditional on his healing factor remaining active. The Old Man Logan timeline shows what happens when Wolverine lives long enough to see the world change completely. He's an elderly man whose healing factor has finally begun failing. He still heals, but slower, and his body shows age. He's outlived most people he cared about, broken psychologically by tragedy, continuing to exist not because he wants to, but because his body won't let him die. His immortality has become a curse of loneliness and survivor's guilt. Wolverine represents level 1 because his immortality is enhanced longevity rather than true deathlessness. He ages incredibly slowly but still ages. His healing factor can be overwhelmed by sufficient damage, and he's been killed in alternate timelines by drowning, complete incineration, or having his head separated for extended period. His immortality requires his healing factor to remain active, making it conditional. He's lived over a century and will likely live centuries more, but he's not eternal. Just a man whose lifespan has been dramatically extended by mutation. Level 2. The Cursed Immortality. Deadpool. Wade Wilson was a mercenary with terminal cancer who volunteered for Weapon X's experimental treatment. They gave him a healing factor derived from Wolverine's DNA, which prevented his cancer from killing him but couldn't cure it. Instead, Wade became locked in a permanent state where his cancer cells regenerate as fast as his healthy cells, creating a body in constant warfare with itself. This healing factor grants him regenerative abilities exceeding even Wolverine's. He can regrow entire limbs, survive being blown apart, and regenerate from catastrophic damage. His brain regenerates so quickly, he can survive having his head destroyed. But Wade's true immortality doesn't come from his healing factor alone. Thanos, the Mad Titan, fell in love with death herself, the cosmic entity representing the end of all life. He discovered death had also taken interest in Wade Wilson, finding something appealing in this scarred mercenary who couldn't die from cancer but couldn't be cured. Thanos, in jealous rage, cursed Wade with true immortality. He literally cannot die because Thanos doesn't want Wade to meet death in the afterlife. This curse operates at a cosmic level beyond Wade's healing factor. The cursed nature manifests in storylines where Deadpool actively tries to die and fails. He's been cut into pieces with each piece kept separate, remaining conscious in his dismembered head, unable to die despite being unable to act. His healing factor eventually allows regeneration, but experiencing awareness while dismembered for extended periods drives him further into madness. He's survived complete incineration, his body regenerating from ashes because Thanos' curse won't let him reach death. This immortality becomes psychological torture. Wade knows he's cursed, that Thanos specifically forbade him from dying, He can't commit suicide no matter how much he wants to escape his scarred body and fractured mind. He can't sacrifice himself heroically because he'll just regenerate. Everyone he cares about will age and die while he continues existing, unable to join them in death. His comedy and irreverence become coping mechanisms for this existential horror. Wade has attempted using cosmic artifacts and mystical means to break Thanos' curse. He's collected Infinity Stones, sought mystical entities, and tried reality-warping powers to circumvent the curse. But every attempt fails because Thanos' curse was placed with cosmic authority. The Mad Titan's connection to death and his cosmic power means his curse supersedes even reality manipulation. Wade discovers that some forms of immortality can't be broken by anyone except the being who imposed them. Deadpool represents level 2 because while his immortality is complete and apparently unbreakable, it's explicitly a curse rather than power he controls. He didn't choose this immortality and actively seeks to escape it. His inability to die causes psychological suffering and isolates him from normal human experience. He's functionally unkillable but deeply unhappy about it, making his immortality punishment rather than blessing. He's more immortal than Wolverine because he truly cannot die even when his healing factor fails, but he's trapped by cosmic forces beyond his control. Immortal but cursed, unkillable but miserable. Level 3, the mystical immortality. Apocalypse. Unsaba Nur was born nearly 5,000 years ago in ancient Egypt, abandoned as an infant because of his gray skin and strange marking. Raised by desert nomads who believed he was destined for greatness, his mutant abilities manifested: superhuman strength, molecular manipulation to alter his body, and cells that regenerated in ways preventing aging. His transformation into Apocalypse occurred when he encountered a crashed celestial ship buried beneath Egypt. He bonded with this celestial technology, his mutant abilities merging with machinery operating on principles beyond conventional science. This fusion granted abilities transcending normal mutation. He could alter his body at molecular levels, change size and mass, transform limbs into weapons, and most importantly, the celestial technology made him functionally immortal. His mutant healing factor, enhanced by celestial tech, prevents aging and repairs damage at rates making him nearly unkillable. But beyond physical regeneration, the technology allows him to transfer his consciousness into new bodies when his current form is damaged beyond repair. He survived for millennia by body hopping when necessary. Apocalypse's immortality allowed him to witness and shape human history across thousands of years. He was worshipped as a god in ancient Egypt, building pyramids and monuments. He influenced civilizations globally, appearing in different cultures as various deity figures, always positioning himself as the strongest being with the right to rule. His philosophy of survival of the fittest formed across millennia of watching civilizations rise and fall, seeing the weak perish and the strong endure. His resurrection process has been shown in various storylines. When reduced to atoms or seemingly destroyed completely, the celestial technology embedded in his DNA contains templates of his form and consciousness, allowing regeneration from genetic material or consciousness transfer to prepared host bodies. His worshippers throughout history have preserved his DNA and prepared hosts for his eventual return, creating resurrection protocols making him incredibly difficult to permanently kill. The Age of Apocalypse timeline showed him conquering North America in the 1980s and ruling for years. Even when seemingly killed in that timeline, his consciousness survived in celestial technology, eventually finding ways to resurrect or transfer to new forms. This demonstrated his immortality transcends individual timeline, his essence existing at levels where reality alterations can't permanently erase him. However, Apocalypse's immortality has weaknesses. His body can be damaged, his consciousness disrupted, and his connection to celestial technology can be severed. When the X-Men seemingly killed him permanently, they destroyed not just his body but his resurrection chambers and genetic backups. This forced him to spend years regenerating from minimal traces of his existence, showing that sufficient thoroughness can at least delay his return significantly. Apocalypse represents level 3 because his mystical technological immortality combines mutant biology, celestial technology, and consciousness transfers into a system making him genuinely difficult to permanently eliminate. He's not just hard to kill, he has redundant resurrection systems operating on principles, mixing advanced technology with mystical concepts like consciousness existing beyond physical form. However, he's still ultimately killable if all backups are destroyed and his celestial technology connection is severed. He's achieved immortality through fusion with cosmic technology, making him far more than human, but still bound by systems that can theoretically be destroyed with sufficient power. Level 4, the Cosmic Immortality. Thor. Thor Odinson was born over 1,500 years ago in Asgard to Odin, king of Asgard, and Gaia, the earth goddess. This unique heritage gave him connection to both Asgard's divine power and Earth's elemental strength. He was raised as prince alongside his adopted brother Loki, trained by the greatest warriors, and grew into a powerful but arrogant god who believed his strength gave him the right to conquer. Asgardians are an advanced alien race that ancient humans worshipped as deities, possessing cosmic-level powers tied to mystical forces. They age incredibly slowly, living thousands of years while maintaining physical prime. They're sustained by golden apples of Idun granting extended youth, but Asgardians can be killed. They're far more durable than humans, but sufficient trauma can end their lives. Their immortality is extreme longevity, rather than true deathlessness. Thor's personal immortality extends beyond typical Asgardian longevity due to his unique heritage and connection to Mjolnir. The hammer grants worthy wielders power over lightning and storms, enhanced strength, flight, and weather manipulation at planetary scales. His connection to Mjolnir and later to his innate thunder god power ties him to fundamental cosmic forces. As long as storms exist, Thor's essence connects to these eternal natural phenomena. Throughout 1,500 plus years, Thor has fought countless battles across 9 realms and beyond. He's died multiple times but always returned, often through resurrection by Odin or mystical means. His deaths are rarely permanent because his father possesses the Odin Force, cosmic power that can resurrect fallen Asgardians and rewrite fate itself. One significant confrontation with mortality occurred during the Ragnarok cycle. Thor discovered Asgard had been destroyed and reformed throughout cosmic history in an eternal loop. He and all Asgardians were trapped in cycles of death and rebirth. Thor eventually broke this cycle by allowing Ragnarok to occur but preventing the rebirth mechanism, choosing to end the cycle rather than continue eternal recurrence. His cosmic immortality is demonstrated through surviving in environments killing even other Asgardians. He's fought in space vacuum, survived inside stars, endured attacks from cosmic entities like Galactus, and walked away from battles destroying planets. When wielding the Odin Force, later Thor Force, his immortality became even more absolute, granting power to resurrect himself and others. One storyline showed Thor surviving after his soul was separated from his body and cast into different dimensions. His consciousness persisted without physical form, existing as pure life force connected to the concept of thunder itself. He reconstituted his body through will in connection to storms, demonstrating his immortality operates at levels where his identity ties to cosmic concepts rather than just physical form. However, Thor's cosmic immortality has limits. He can be killed, especially if cut off from power sources like Mjolnir, the Odin Force, or his storm connection. He's been depowered in various storylines, rendered mortal and vulnerable. His immortality is tied to Asgard and 9 realms' existence. When Asgard was destroyed during Ragnarok, his power diminished significantly. Thor represents level 4 because his immortality is cosmic in scope but not absolute. He's lived over a millennium and will likely live millions of years more. He's survived countless deaths through resurrection and regeneration. His connection to thunder and storms ties him to eternal cosmic phenomena. But he's not a fundamental force. He's an individual who can die if the right circumstances occur. He's immortal in that he'll outlive human civilizations, but he's not eternal in being unkillable or existing as necessary concept. His cosmic immortality places him far above mystical immortality, but below truly abstract levels, where beings become ideas rather than individuals. Level 5, the abstract immortality. Ghost Rider. The spirit of vengeance is an ancient force older than humanity, created as an instrument of divine punishment for sin. The first spirit appeared in prehistoric times, bonding with primitive humans to punish evil. Throughout history, many individuals have served as Ghost Rider. The modern Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, was a motorcycle stuntman who made a deal with Mephisto to save his father, Figure, from cancer. The deal went wrong, and Johnny found himself bonded to Zarathos, a powerful demon spirit serving as one incarnation of the spirit of vengeance. Johnny's origin shows how humans become Ghost Rider hosts. He was a normal man, talented at stunts but otherwise mortal. When the spirit bonded with him, his nature changed. When evil is present or when he chooses, his flesh burns away, revealing a flaming skull. His body becomes superhumanly strong and durable. His motorcycle transforms into a hellish machine, and he gains mystical abilities including hellfire manipulation and the penance stare, forcing victims to experience all pain they've caused. The immortality granted by being Ghost Rider operates on supernatural principles. Johnny doesn't age while bonded to the spirit, and he's been Ghost Rider for decades without visible aging. His body is sustained by supernatural forces rather than normal metabolism. When transformed, he's nearly indestructible, bullets pass through harmlessly. He regenerates from damage almost instantly, and destroying his body just forces him back into human form temporarily. The deeper level of immortality comes from the spirit's nature as an abstract concept. The spirit of vengeance exists as long as sin exists. It's the universe's response to unpunished evil, a cosmic balancing force ensuring those who harm others face consequences. Individual Ghost Riders can be freed from the spirit or killed, but the spirit itself simply moves to new hosts. Johnny has been separated from Zarathos multiple times, but the spirit continues existing, finding new hosts. This abstract immortality is demonstrated through the spirit's existence across multiple timelines and reality. In alternate universes and future timelines, there's always a Ghost Rider because the spirit is a constant wherever evil exists. The spirit transcends individual hosts, timelines, and dimensions because it's tied to a fundamental concept, the idea that evil must be punished. One storyline showed Johnny being killed, his body destroyed completely by supernatural means, but the spirit of vengeance refused to die. It reconstituted Johnny's body from hellfire and ashes, forcing him back to life because its mission wasn't complete. Johnny wanted to die, to be free from the curse, but the spirit wouldn't allow it. His immortality wasn't his choice. It was imposed by the supernatural entity bonded to his soul. The spirit has been shown surviving in hell itself. When Johnny died and his soul went to hell, the spirit came with him, allowing him to continue functioning as Ghost Rider even in the afterlife. He fought demons in hell using hellfire, serving his purpose even beyond death. This shows the spirit's immortality transcends the boundary between life and death. However, Ghost Riders' immortality has limitations. The spirit can be separated from its host through sufficiently powerful magic or divine intervention. Angels and demons of sufficient power can forcibly unbind the spirit, returning the host to mortality. Johnny has been freed multiple times, though circumstances usually force rebonding. Another limitation is that if sins cease to exist, the spirit would have no purpose and might cease to exist. Ghost Rider represents level 5 because his immortality is abstract rather than merely physical or cosmic. He doesn't just heal fast or live long. He exists as manifestation of a concept. The spirit of vengeance is immortal because divine punishment is eternal, and individual Ghost Riders become immortal by hosting this abstract force. Johnny is effectively unkillable while bonded to the spirit, and the spirit itself is unkillable because it's an idea made manifest. However, this immortality is tied to purpose and can be disrupted by separating host from spirit, placing it above cosmic immortality, but below truly universal constants that exist regardless of function. Level 6. The Universal Constant. Galactus. Galen of Ta was a scientist living in the universe that existed before the current Marvel universe. That previous universe was dying, collapsing in a big crunch that would end all existence. As his universe's final moments approached, Galen and his crew flew into the heart of the cosmic maelstrom. As reality collapsed, Galen's crew died, but he encountered the sentience of that dying universe, a cosmic consciousness facing its end. The dying universe's sentience merged with Galen, preserving his consciousness through universal death. When the Big Bang created the current Marvel universe, Galen emerged transformed. He was no longer mortal, but had become Galactus, a cosmic entity whose existence was tied to the fundamental structure of the new universe. He spent billions of years gestating in a cosmic egg. When he emerged, he was a being unlike anything before, a survivor from a previous universe now serving as a fundamental force. He discovered his survival came with a price: insatiable hunger that could only be satisfied by consuming planet's life energy. Galactus's immortality is tied to his nature as a universal constant, a being who exists because the universe requires him. He is the balance between eternity, the embodiment of the universe, and death, the end of all life. His function is consuming planets as part of the cosmic cycle. He is destined to survive until the current universe's end, at which point he will serve as the sentience that merges with another being to survive into the next universe. His position as universal constant means Galactus cannot truly die as long as the universe exists. He's been killed multiple times, blasted by ultimate nullifiers, defeated by assembled heroes, seemingly destroyed by cosmic forces, but he always returns because the universe needs him. When Reed Richards saved Galactus from starvation despite Earth having every reason to want him dead, Reed explained that Galactus was necessary for cosmic balance. One significant demonstration of his universal constant status occurred when the Ultimates transformed Galactus from Devourer of Worlds into Galactus the Lifebringer, changing his hunger from destroying planets to creating life on dead worlds. This should have been complete transformation, but cosmic forces eventually reasserted the need for him to be a devourer. The universe pushed back against his change because his role as destroyer was necessary for cosmic balance. Galactus has existed for billions of years since the Big Bang. He's consumed countless billions of planets across galaxies and timelines. He's fought against virtually every cosmic entity in Marvel, yet he continues existing because his survival is written into the universe's fundamental structure. Attempts to erase him from existence have failed because reality itself restores him. The most profound aspect of his immortality was revealed with the ultimate nullifier, a device capable of erasing anything from existence at the cost of the user's life. Galactus could theoretically use it to end his existence, finally freeing himself from eternal hunger and cosmic obligation. But he cannot because he knows his death would harm cosmic balance. He's trapped by his own necessity. He exists because he must exist. The Abraxas crisis demonstrated this further. Abraxas was a being of cosmic destruction that emerged when a version of Galactus died in an alternate reality. Abraxas began destroying other realities, his existence proving Galactus's death destabilizes the multiverse. Reed Richards had to resurrect that universe's Galactus to stop Abraxas, showing Galactus serves as a cosmic seal keeping worse forces contained. However, Galactus's immortality has limits tied to the universe's existence. He will survive as long as the current universe exists, but when it eventually dies, he will either die or transform into whatever serves as the bridge to the next universe. His immortality is bounded by universal timeframes, effectively infinite from mortal perspectives but ultimately finite on cosmic scales. Galactus represents level 6 because his immortality is tied to his nature as a universal constant. He exists because the universe requires him, making him functionally unkillable as long as reality persists. He's not just hard to kill, he's woven into the universe's structure so fundamentally that destroying him would damage reality itself. However, he's still subordinate to even higher cosmic forces like the Living Tribunal, and his existence is tied to the universe rather than transcending it. He's a universal constant but not the supreme constant, immortal on scales that dwarf gods but still operating within existence's framework rather than defining it. Level 7, the eternal concept. Death. Death is not a being that was born or created. It simply began existing the moment the first thing died. When the universe came into existence and the first star faded, the first particle decayed, death emerged as the conceptual embodiment of endings. She is one of the fundamental abstracts of the Marvel Universe, existing alongside eternity, infinity, and oblivion. These abstracts represent the fundamental nature of existence itself. And death is the most inevitable because everything that begins must end. Death appears in different forms to different beings, perceived through cultural filters. She often manifests as a beautiful woman in black robes, sometimes skeletal, sometimes attractive, always serene. Thanos sees her as beautiful and desirable, falling in love with the concept of ending. Deadpool sees her as kind and welcoming, someone who would release him from his cursed immortality. But these are faces she wears. Her true nature is beyond physical form because she's a concept rather than a being. Death's immortality is fundamentally different from all other levels because she cannot die by definition. She is death. She is the state of not being alive, the cessation of existence. For death to die would be a logical impossibility, a paradox that would unmake reality. She will exist as long as things can end, and since entropy is fundamental law in the Marvel Universe, death will exist until the death of the universe and beyond. Her role is not active but passive. She doesn't kill beings but receives them when they die. Every soul eventually comes to death, regardless of power level. Gods die and meet death. Abstracts can be ended and they return to death. Even Galactus, when his time eventually comes, will presumably meet death. She is impartial and inevitable, treating a mortal human's death with the same acknowledgement as a cosmic entity's end. Thanos' obsession with death drove many of Marvel's greatest crises. He genocided half the universe with the Infinity Gauntlet as an offering to her. But death rejected him, and her rejection stems from profound irony. Thanos kills to gain death's attention, but death is the end, not the action. She doesn't desire murder, she simply is what comes after. Thanos fundamentally misunderstands what he loves. Death's interactions with Deadpool reveal another aspect of her nature. She feels something approaching fondness for Wade because he's cursed by Thanos to never die, never able to reach her. Their relationship is tragic. Death might welcome Wade, but Thanos' cosmic curse prevents Wade from dying, and thus prevents him from ever being with Death. This shows even Death's power has limits. She cannot claim someone that cosmic forces have rendered truly immortal. The Cancerverse storyline demonstrated Death's fundamental importance. In an alternate universe, Death was killed by a cosmic entity called Many-Angled One. With Death gone, nothing could die. People were injured but couldn't die, suffering endless pain. Cancer cells multiplied infinitely because cells couldn't undergo apoptosis. The universe became nightmare of endless life, beings unable to end their suffering. The Cancerverse proved death's absence is worse than her presence. This reveals the profound truth about death's immortality. She cannot die because her absence would destroy reality. She's not immortal through power or curse. She's immortal because death is fundamental to how existence functions. Energy dissipates, systems run down, entropy increases. These are universal laws, and death is those laws given consciousness. Death's eternal nature extends beyond the current universe. When this universe ends, death will presumably exist in whatever comes after because any universe with sequential time will have endings, and wherever endings exist, death exists. She may transform or manifest differently, but the concept of cessation will persist. However, even death has limitation in scope. She exists within Marvel Multiverse as one of the fundamental abstracts, but she's subordinate to even higher cosmic force. The Living Tribunal and the One Above All exist at levels where they could theoretically alter or end even abstract concepts like death, though doing so would require rewriting the fundamental nature of existence. Death represents level 7 because her immortality is of completely different category than all previous levels. She's not immortal because she heals or because she's cursed, or because she's powerful. She's immortal because she is death. She is the end. You cannot kill the concept of ending. She will exist as long as things can stop existing, which means she'll exist until the ultimate end of everything, and she'll be the one who marks that ultimate end. Every other form of immortality eventually encounters death because all things end except ending itself. She's the one true constant that will outlast gods, outlast universes, making her the most immortal being in Marvel because she's the reason nothing else can claim absolute immortality. Everything dies, everyone meets death eventually, making her the final witness to reality's last moment.